Okay. Vote $5. If ascending, according to two witnesses, one sold and one, and according to one witness, one, or by his own confession, he slaughtered or sold, he pays the twofold payment, but he does not pay the fourfold or fivefold payment. If one stole and slaughtered on the Sabbath, sold and slaughtered for idolatry, stole from his father, and his father died, and afterwards he slaughtered or sold, sold or consecrated, and afterwards slaughtered or sold, and he pays that twofold payments, but it does not pay the fourfold or fivefold payments. Rabbi Shimon says for consecrated animals for which he's responsible, he pays the fourfold or the fivefold payments. For those for which he's not responsible, he's exempt. If he sold it except for 1/100th of it, or if he had joint ownership in it, if he slaughtered it and became disqualified, if he passed its nostrils and tore out the throat organs, he pays the twofold payment, but he does not pay the four or fivefold payment. If one sold in the owner's premises and slaughtered or sold outside their premises, or if he sold outside their premises and slaughtered or sold within their premises, or if he stole and slaughtered or sold outside their premises, he pays the four or fivefold payment. But if he stole and slaughtered or sold in their premises, he is exempt. If he was taking it out by dragging it, or if he died in the premises of the owner, he is exempt. If he lifted it on a rock, or if he took it out of the premises and it died, he's liable. He gave it for redemption of his firstborn son, for his creditor, for an unpaid guardian, to a borrower, to a paid guardian, to a renter, and he was last dragging it and it died in the premises of the owner, he is exempt. If he lifted it and took it out of the owner's premises and it died, he is liable. Right.
All right. Ein Megadlin Behema Daka Be'eretz Yisrael. So you're not, so this will be a surprise, but you're not allowed to bring up sheep and goats in Eretz Yisrael. Why? Because the way they graze tends to uproot plants, and they want to make sure that that farmers are able to farm properly. And so Chazal made a thing about not allowing sheep and goats in Eretz Yisrael with a rider, as we'll see in a second. Aval Megadlin Besuria over Midbarios She Be'eretz Yisrael. Right, but you can cultivate them in Surya, which was appended after a conquest to Eretz Yisrael. And so that didn't have the same kedusha, and also in the uninhabited areas of Eretz Yisrael. So yeah, you can keep sheep and goats, but just not in the cities or places where people are trying to grow crops. Okay, ein megadlin tarnagolim b'Yerushalayim mipnei hakodesh. Now chickens. Chickens have a habit of going and rooting in the garbage, and just anywhere they can find, they stick their beaks. And the concern here is that they're going to find something tame, like a dead sheretz. And remember, dead sheretz is matame b'ka'adasha, a very, very small amount, right? Normally things are matame b'kabeitza, which is considerably bigger, but a chicken could could easily find a piece of a dead lizard or a mouse or something like that, and pick that up in its beak, and that is going to transmit tumah to the kodshim that are in Yerushalayim. Okay. V'lo kohanim be'eretz Yisrael nipnei hataros, and also kohanim all around the country are not allowed to keep chickens because they're dealing with truma all the time. So they need to make sure that they don't become tamei accidentally because of their chickens. Yeah. Ein megadlin chazirim b'chol makom, and pigs. There was a gezerah on pigs because of the Maaseh Shehaya in the time of the Bayis Sheni. You know, the story of Aristobulus and Hyrcanus, and one called in the Romans on the other, and they made a siege on Yerushalayim, but they still kept, because both factions were Jewish. They kept sending in baskets of animals over the wall, so they would have a pulley system where they would, even though they're fighting each other, they're still sending over animals to give for the morning tamid, and for morning and afternoon tamid. Okay, so every day the tamid is going up, and
Right.
the war is carrying on. And then somebody advised the people on the outside, the reason why you're not able to break the siege is because they've got the schus of the tamid. So one day, instead of a kosher animal, they put a pig in the basket. And as it put its hoofs on the walls at the top, there was an earthquake, and it was a big shocker. And that was the day that the Tamid stopped. I think that was Asara B'Teves.
Oh.
I think but that's one of the things that we observe Asara B'Teves for. or we have in mind for Asara B'Teves. Anyways, um, since then they made a gezerah that nobody in Israel should, nobody, no Jew should anywhere in the world should ever raise pigs. Okay. Did you ever see the movie Leon the Pig Farmer?
No,
Okay.
no.
No, it was a satirical comedy, which I thought was actually quite amusing. But anyway, that was a long time ago. I was a teenager when I saw it. Anyway, yeah. בכל מקום. Okay, לא יגדל אדם es hakelev אלא אם כן היה קשור בשלשלת. So, raising an aggressive dog specifically. This is talking about an aggressive dog a person should not keep because it might, if it's not kept chained up, then it might, even if it just barks at somebody, it might bark at a pregnant woman, cause her to have a fright and miscarry. It's So that's the din of the Mishnah. If you have a passive dog who just smiles and sits in your lap, that's fine. It's the aggressive dog. It's the aggressiveness that Chazal didn't like. Ein porsin nishbim layonim eleim kein hayarachuk min hayishav shloshim ris. So laying out traps to catch birds is not allowed because private individuals used to keep doves and the birds would come and go. So putting out traps, you're likely going to trap somebody's private property unless you distance yourself from the city by shloshim ris, which is approximately 4 kilometers. Okay, hachovel b'chavero, one who injures his fellow. Is chayav alav mishum chamisha dvarim. There are 5 different possible categories in which a person can be assessed for damages from one action. Okay, and you've got to assess them all. You won't always have all five categories, but it's possible to go up to 5 categories of damages. Okay, nezek, which is the actual monetary damage. Tsar, the damage to his person, that is. Tsar is the pain that he went through. Ripoy is the however much he has to pay for medical attention afterwards. Shevis, his loss of opportunity to work, and boshes, and his embarrassment. Okay, now we're going to go into all of them. Nezek ketzad. So how do you evaluate his damages? Sima es eno, kata es yado, shiba es raglo. If you did permanent damage to somebody, or even if it's impermanent damage, you take a look at what he's left with. So if he blinded him or cut off his hand or broke his leg. Now, broken leg you can recover from. But in all these cases, roino so ki'ilu hu eved nimkar b'shuk, b'shamin kama haya yafe v'kama hu yafe. So you look at his slave market value. What would he have been sold for if he had in the slave market before the injury, and how much is he worth afterwards? And the difference is the nezek. Okay. Tsar, how do you evaluate pain? Let's say he burned a person with a hot poker or with a nail, afilu al tzipona, or even if it's on his nail where it's not going to leave a mark, a permanent mark. Makom she'eino oseh chabura, omedin kama adam kayotze b'zeh rotze litol liyos mitztar kach. How much would a person pay not would how much would a person pay not to have this pain? So there were 2 ways that you could look at this. Is like how much. Let's say you wanted to dare somebody and say, "I'll pay you $100 to have this pain." So okay, like you see all sorts of people on the internet who will take pain for just for people's kicks on camera or whatever, and see how much they'll accept for it. Although that's a difficult one because like there's some pains that like even if you offered all the money in the world, the person wouldn't take. So it's difficult to assess damages like that. So an alternative explanation is to say how much would a person pay out of his own money to know, look, you can have this pain, or else you can pay this amount of money to avoid it. So how much would the person himself pay to avoid the pain? And that's how much the damages would be for pain. Okay. Replay, what's medical attention? Hikahu chayav liraposa. So if you hit him and he has to heal him. Alu botzmachim. Now it's not just the immediate damages, but let's say there were there were consequential damages that happened to him. So he got blisters from the burn that came up afterwards, or an infection, some kind of anything that comes as a result, as a direct result of this. If it is because of the original blow, then he's have to pay for that as well. But if it's not because of the original blow, then he doesn't have to pay for that. If it healed and then came back and healed and came back, he still has to pay for the medical damages. But if it healed completely and then something else happened in the same area, he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to pay him, because that once it's healed completely, we assume that this is a new thing that's come up, and the mazik isn't liable for that. Shevis. Now, what about his loss of income? We look at him as if he's taking on a very low paying job, guarding the cucumbers. So there's no skill involved. We've already shikvar nasan lo dmei yado udmei raglo. We've already paid the nezek. If he is permanently injured, then that's already been covered by the nezek. So his loss of income is a smaller amount, which we just look at as if we don't look at him as if he's a high-tech professional. We look at him as if he's a cucumber farmer, a cucumber guard, and pay him just for that loss of income. Okay. Boshes, what about humiliation? Everything is according to who did the act and who had the act done to him. Okay. So which means that the higher the social status of the person who was embarrassed, the more he feels the humiliation. Right? If you've got some bum on the street who gets humiliated, like he barely has any dignity anyway. But if you're talking about somebody who you embarrassed the rabbi in front of the shul, that's a big thing. Okay. Conversely, the person who does the humiliation, if a person gets is embarrassed by somebody of high social standing, it's less of a thing than if he's embarrassed by somebody of low social standing. So it's exactly the opposite in terms of who's causing it. Hamavayesh es ha'arom. What happens if you embarrass somebody who's already standing there naked, which means he's got like barely any dignity anyway? Hamavayesh es ha'suma. Or if he embarrasses somebody who's blind and can't see what's going on, but just gets the sense of what's going on. Hamavayesh es hayashen. Or he embarrasses somebody who's sleeping, and then he only wakes up later and finds that he was embarrassed. None of this in all these cases is chayav. Yashen shibiesh pater, but somebody who was asleep, and let's say he turned over in his sleep and smacked somebody or caused some embarrassment to somebody while he's asleep, pater. Why? Because the din is that, well, we'll see this again. Nafal min hagag. Also, if he fell off a roof, v'hizik ubiesh, and he damaged somebody and he embarrassed them. Chayav ala nezik pater ala boshes. He's only chayav for the nezik, but not for the humiliation. It's taken from the pasuk of the woman who tries to protect her husband by grabbing the privates of a person who's attacking him. The point is that boshes must be bekavana. Nezik can be unintentional, but you still have to pay. But boshes is only when you have intention to humiliate the other person. Okay. So here's the stringency of a person over an animal. It's literally an ox in the Mishnah. A person has all these 5 categories that he can be chayav for. And if he injures a woman such that she loses her baby, he has to pay for that as well. The only thing that an animal has to pay is for the nezek itself. Nothing else is you chayav for because of the animal. Okay. Dalet hey.
That's where it's supposed to be. Okay. All right. Now. Okay. This is the kitten?
No, we're still in Bava Kama.
Oh, come on.
Dalet hey.
If if a man if a man a bull gores a man and he dies, if the bull is a muad, the poet pays a ransom. If the Thomas is exempt from ransom, both are liable to death. The same applies to a male child, and the male same applies to a female child. If he gores a male slave or a female slave, it's own him, but he's 30 selim, but whether it was worth a mana or was worth more than one dinner. If the bull was rubbing itself against the wall and a fellow fell upon a man, or if it aimed to kill a beast and it killed a man, a Gentile, and killed a Jew, or non-viable infants and killed a viable infant, he is viable, exempt. A bull of a woman, a bull of orphans, a bull of an administrator, a bull of the wilderness, a bull consecrated to the temple, a bull of a prostitute who died and left no heirs. These are liable to death. The Yehuda says a bull of the wilderness or a bull consecrated to the temple and a bull of prostitute who died are exempt from death since they have no owners. If a bull was condemned to be sold and its owner consecrated for it, it is not consecrated. If he slaughtered it, its flesh is prohibited. If before its sentence was passed, its owner consecrated, it is consecrated. If he slaughtered it, its flesh is permissible. Okay. Gittin.
Uh, oh, we went one too far, I think. Okay.
Keskibel. The same is true concerning Kedushin, and the true is concerning the debt. If his creditors said to him, "Throw me my debt," and he threw it to him, and it falls close to the lender, the borrower gains. Close to the borrower, he is obligated, and half and half they both divide it. If she was standing on the top of the roof, and he threw it to her, once she reaches the empress of the roof, she is divorced. If he was above and below, and he threw it to her, once it leaves the domain of the roof, it is erased or burnt, she is divorced. Ben Shammai says a man may divorce his wife with an old get. Ben Hillel says, however, what is an old get? Anytime he includes himself with her after he writes for her. If he wrote the date of the get according to the reign of the kingdom, which is unworthy, according to the kingdom of Medea, according to the kingdom of Greece, to the destruction of the temple, or to the destruction of the temple, or if he was in the east, and if he wrote it in the west, or the west, and then he wrote it in the east, she must leave both of them, and she needs to receive a get from each of them. She entitled neither to a ketubah or a upwork, and a sustenance or worn out clothing, and from either, or she took it from either the man, she must return it. Here, her child is by a mamzer, and the other child is either a mamzer, neither of them may maintain common itself to her, and neither has rights to her findings. The handiwork of the revocation of a vow, she was the daughter of a Canaan Kohen. She was disqualified from marrying a Kohen. If the daughter of a Levi, she was disqualified from marrying a tithe, from the tithe. And if the daughter of a Kohen, she is disqualified from Shuma. The daughter of a Kohen, she is right. The heirs of both do not inherit a ketubah, but they died. The brother of each performs kalisa, but not yibum. If she changed his name or her name, the name of his town or the name of her town, she must leave both of them, and all of these procedures apply to her. Okay, Durham. Base Hava. The following are not binding. May that what I eat of yours be cooling, like pork, like an idol, like perforated skins, like carcasses, like trephus, like reptiles, like crawling creatures, like the challah of Aaron and the challah Aaron's challah's truma. This is not binding. One who says to his wife, "You was to make me like mother," we find grounds and all the netter from elsewhere, so he's not be lightheaded regarding such matters. One who declares, "Kohanam, am I sleeping? Am I offering? Am I talking? Am I walking?" Or one says to his wife, "Kohanam, am I cohabitation with you?" That is governed by all. He shall violate you were his word. One who swears, Shavua, that I shall not sleep, that I shall not speak, or that I shall not walk, is forbidden to do so. The declarations, Korban, I shall not have yours, and the Korban, I shall eat of yours, and not a Korban. What shall I not eat of yours? What shall I not eat of yours? Are not binding. Shavua, I shall eat of yours. Shavua, I shall eat of yours, and those Shavua for what I do not eat are binding. This is an instance in which even though other oaths are more stringent than the Dharam, what is the instance in which the Dharms are more stringent than earth? He said, Kohanim, the sukkah that I'm constructing, the lighter that I'm taking, the tefillah that I'm wearing to the Dharam, these declarations are binding as those, and they're not binding for one, may not swear to transgress the commandments. Okay.
Also, one more.
There is a netter within a netter, but there is a netter, there is not an oath within a neder. How? If he said, I am a Nazarite if I eat, I'm a Nazarite if I eat, and he eats, he's bound by each declaration. Shavua that I should not eat, Shavua that I should not eat, and he ate, he is liable for only one. Okay.
Okay, that's it. You know what? I've got to go. I'm out of time. Okay.
Okay.
Have a
Have a great Shabbos.
okay.
Enjoy. Thank